for 6 years and then leave, and he did. He is no stranger to many of us since he's already been to Lamar County several times. Now, I know you didn't come here to listen to me, so let's have a warm Lamar County welcome for Beto O'Rourke, the next governor of the great state of Texas.
Texas. Good to be with you. Thank you all. Listen. I truly am grateful to everyone who's come out. Those who come to support us, those who have come to oppose us. I met a gentleman as we were walking in, came in with his wife and his young child. He's here in opposition today. And as Gary said, I think the genius of this country, 245 years in the experiment, is that we can have a different perspective, a different point of view, a different way of coming at things, but more or less, we're able to resolve our differences peacefully, find the common ground, keep the trains running on time, and move this country forward. And that's the way I hope we come together today. Not as Democrats, not as Republicans, but before we're anything else, we're Texans, we're Americans, and we're human beings, and we're going to do this the right way. What we still have in this country, for as long as we can keep it, is something that is proven to be the exception and not the rule in world history. For most of humankind, the civilizations that preceded ours could not figure this out. You had strong men and kings and dictators and tyrants. You had one group pitting itself against another group. You did not have people able to freely choose in elections their representatives and the course and the direction that their community, their state, and their country would take. And to every one of you who has worn the uniform of this country and sworn an oath not to a president or to a political party, but to the Constitution of the United States and this great democracy, I thank you for making this moment possible. And to each one of us who's willing to do all that we can within our power personally, as our families, in our communities, and as this state, to keep this going, regardless of our differences and the things that might otherwise divide us. I want to thank you as well. And I came here tonight, I hope, to talk about those things that might bring us together in service of this great state at a time that we find ourselves more polarized than we have ever been before, at least in my lifetime, with a really hard time moving forward on the things that matter most to us in our families and in our communities and in this state. I'll give you a few examples. I want to make sure that the best jobs created anywhere in the United States of America are found right here in Texas. That your kids and your grandkids have a reason to stay here in Paris, Texas, because they can find the careers, the opportunities, and the jobs that give them purpose, that give them fulfillment, and allow them to earn a living wage. And I want to make sure that the kids that we graduate from our high schools are competitive for those jobs that we're creating right here in Texas. Right now, 7 out of 10 fourth graders in the average Texas classroom are not able to read at grade level. Those who come to this state from other states and other countries are 1.5 times better educated than the people here in this state. The answer to this challenge is going to be found in those classroom teachers and counselors and librarians who deliver the instruction and the education each and every day. And when we start paying them so they don't have to take a second or a third job to do their first job. Because Texas teachers today are underpaid by about $10,000 on average compared to the average American teacher. When we allow them to teach to the child and not to a high-stakes, high-pressure, standardized test, when we ensure that they can tell the full story and history of this country in those classrooms. And when we remember that classroom teacher who might be working that second job is so often willing out of her own pocket to pay for the school supplies that kid forgot to bring or was too poor to buy in the first place. That child who's on free and reduced breakfast and lunch, she is so often out of her own pocket paying for the warm meal that night that she knows that kid will not go home to. So there are some calories in his belly to burn while he does the homework, so he can be just as competitive as any other child in that class. That teacher, who is more likely than not to leave the profession within the first 5 years because we do not pay her enough or show her enough respect, I want to make sure that she is treated as the public servant hero of this state. Paid enough, respected enough, and kept and retained and advanced so that she can continue to deliver for all of us. Here's one that I hope all of us can agree on. In the least insured state in the country, where far too many still die of diabetes, of curable cancers, of the flu, because they literally cannot see a doctor or fill a prescription, we have, over the last 7 years, under our current governor, left about $100 billion from the federal government in Medicaid expansion money that has not come to Texas, that has not hired more doctors or providers or stood up more rural hospitals and clinics, that has not connected more people to care, and that has not reduced the property tax burden on our fellow homeowners and business owners. As governor, I'm going to make sure that we take yes for an answer, expand Medicaid in Texas, and ensure every single one of us is well enough, healthy enough to build to our full potential, to work our jobs, to finish our education, to raise our families, to do whatever God placed us on this planet to do in the first place. Let us finally, once and for all, legalize marijuana in the state of Texas. We should no longer be put people behind bars for possession of a substance that is legal in most of the rest of the country. We should be able to enjoy the tax revenue that can fund the things that we want to invest in this state, whether it's our schools, or our teachers, or our infrastructure, or our rural hospitals. There's a positive decision that we can make together as Texans. We can do all of these things, none of which, by the way, are Democratic or Republican Party principles, but are basic Texas values. It's about us becoming big again. It's about us being big enough for all of us, for the people who oppose us, for the people who support us, for the people who love one way, for the people who love another. Depending on how you pray, where you came from, how many generations you can count yourself as a Texan, this state is big enough for you, and I'm glad that you're here. But to get there, to get to that big vision, we've got to get past the smallness of this moment. We've got to get past the meanness and the cruelty and the pettiness and the divisiveness that seems to define Texas these days. We've got to get the basics right. We've got to be able to keep the lights on, the heat running, and the water flowing. In the energy capital of North America, we've got to make sure that we can get power to the people when it really counts. We've got to make sure that we trust Texas women to make their own decisions about their own bodies and their own future and their own lives each and every single time. We have got, speaking of those veterans who put their lives on the line for this country and our great democracy, we've got to make sure that we also trust voters, be they Republicans or Democrats, to cast a ballot for the candidate of their choice in a state that right now is the hardest in the nation in which to vote, in which 7 million of our fellow Texans did not cast a ballot last year in the most important presidential election since 1864. When I'm governor, I'm going to make sure every eligible voter in Texas can cast that ballot, participate in our democracy, and make sure that our elections are free and fair for each and every single one of us. We can do this, but we've got to get back to being big again. No longer define ourselves by our differences. Ensure that we're not writing anybody off or taking anyone for granted. If you're a Democrat, you're here, you're in the right place. If you're an independent, you're here, you're in the right place. If you are a Republican, you're here, you're in the right place. This campaign is for everyone. It will serve all of us, and it will make sure that Texas truly fulfills its purpose and its promise. This is what we can do. For those of you who want to join this campaign and be part of this effort, it's not going to be easy, and we have a perfect example of that behind us right now. It's not going to come without opposition or challenges. There are going to be some tough times ahead of us. But if we are willing to do the work necessary, to knock on doors, to make phone calls, to have conversations with those who may not see things the way that we do, and to listen to them about what's most important to them, and make sure that we find enough common ground to move forward, I guarantee you we can win this race and we can serve everyone in Texas. There's a website, betofortexas.com. I'm asking you to sign up there so that we can put you to work, meeting those voters who will decide the outcome of this election. And then, if we work our tails off over the course of the next year, we can win this for not just Democrats or Republicans, but for everyone here in the state of Texas. Are you all with me on this one? Well, I'm with you as well, every step of the way. So grateful to be back in Lamar County, in Paris, Texas, with great people who care more about this country and our state than they do their political party or any other difference between us. We're going to hang out for a little while to say hello, shake hands with those who come out, to take a picture that we hope that you'll